thought that the integrated transport assessments are what deliver the integrated transport system, which is the objective. But I think what Yanni's saying, and I could be wrong, is that, and it's a little bit about what the joint officials said too, that there needs to be clear linkages with the subdivision and development chapters and the zone chapters, so that it's actually an objective of those chapters that it feeds into a single integrated transport system, so that the developments, the subdivisions, that they aren't them, by their presence, and the cumulative effect, which is why I'm still just a little bit worried about who does what, not because of the wanting to absorb more cost into our decreasing rate base, but because it's in the interest of the city at the whole that somebody's actually taking into account those cumulative effects that Yanni's talking about. And they may not be picked up in a single assessment of each individual development. So as long as the chapters that deal with the developments and the subdivisions and the various zones have got sitting in amongst them the need to comply with these objectives, then there is the risk that we won't take full advantage of this. That's the way I read the joint officials anyway.
Yeah. And that's a good comment. I mean, they do need to work together. So perhaps we can look at that and look to see how we can more integrate that. Certainly, though, as Brent says, I think that needs to come through objectives and policies. Yeah. The rule is the delivery mechanism only. Yeah. And depending on which level of consent, whether it's full discretionary or not, all the objectives have to work hand in hand. They're all considered. One's not greater than the other necessarily.
But this one's saying that that a single integrated transport system that is accessible for blah 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 and is integrated with land use. Well, actually, land use has to be integrated with the transport, which is the other way around.
Yeah. Okay, look, we'll have a look at that and see what we can do to improve that.
Okay. Right, next one.
So Linda, if you can flip back 2 slides, please. So the next one I'll cover is the road classification, and that was raised earlier today as well. So there have been some requests from some submitters for changes to the road classification. So just as a summary, that the road classification is there's maps and starting on page 51, and there's a list of all the roads that are classified either as a major arterial, minor arterial, or collector road. And so there was some requests for some roads to have a different classification, maybe a higher classification or a lower classification, depending on what the submitter wanted. And then there was also a request through the CJOG that we look at how we can incorporate the one network road classification that the New Zealand Transport Agency and local government New Zealand are working on at the moment. As I mentioned earlier today, Council developed a road classification system that went through public consultation through this document, the Christchurch Transport Strategic Plan, a couple of years ago. And the Land Use Recovery Plan requires that we are consistent with this document, so that's why we have ensured that the road classification is very similar to this classification that's in the Christchurch Transport Strategic Plan, and the national road classification is still a work in progress. So we are at the moment being consistent with what went through public consultation and what the public commented on a couple of years ago. We've had a look at the one network classification, the draft that's out at the moment. What if we in the future went down that path and adopted what the national classification is saying, it would involve quite a number of roads probably being raised in terms of their classification. So quite a lot of local roads that are currently local roads, and people may have bought on that local road because of the quiet nature of it, may become an arterial road or may become a collector road, because the thresholds at a national level are a lot lower than what we have done through this plan, and we're still waiting to hear from the New Zealand Transport Agency what standards they'll apply to that, so what effect that will have on communities. So there is a bit of a concern how much we take regard of that new classification, because it will affect probably about a quarter of the roads in the city will end up raising in their status, and that may mean there'll be more through traffic on some roads and limit our ability to reduce some of that through traffic. The national classification has very much been produced to guide funding, and that's one of the New Zealand Transport Agency's roles. So they're trying to get a consistent approach to ensure that roads across the whole country look the same and are funded accordingly, so that we're not funding roads in Kaufo more than we're funding roads in Temuka or whatever. So that's the New Zealand Transport Agency's sort of main goal behind that national classification. We've got some concerns that if we adopt it right now, we will end up affecting the way we can manage our network in terms of a district plan, and it's not the same as what the public went through public consultation a couple of years ago. So that's why we're sticking to the public document that we went through, and we'll have to look at that in the future when the national classification is made final.
Okay. David, did you have a question? Or are you just holding your hand in the air?
No, I'm waiting patiently. Look, I'm just interested in the road classifications and how a road such as Mariha Road, Marston's Road to Burwood Road can be deemed a collector road, and then it's a minor arterial of greater significance from Burwood Road through around the back of the hospital to Frost Road. It just seems it's either back to front or there's something wrong there. But what's the criteria to actually classify a road?
There are a number of different criteria, and I've listed in the Section 32 document, which is so it's Appendix 6 to the back of this document. It depends on the number of volumes of traffic that the road carries.
It sounds to me that Mariha Road between Marston's Road and Burwood Road, there's no roads go off it, only a couple of little ones, it can be called a collector road, and it's probably the most jammed up piece of Mariha Road out there, and yet it's a collector road. That's the one we're having traffic lights on, and it's only a collector road there.
Yeah.
But it becomes a minor arterial once you hit between Burwood Hospital and Frost Road. Yeah, there's a reasonable amount of traffic on there, but by far if your traffic's coming off Marston's Road, it splits it at Burwood Hospital, and the traffic volume decreases. They go in all directions there, but I just can't fathom how. That's why I'm just asking, what's the criteria? How a road can, on one side of an intersection, be a collector, and on the other side it's a minor arterial. And
yes,
it just seems to be completely back to front.
So if I refer to...
Presumably Marston Road is the arterial that is the connector.
So you come off a minor arterial, you supposedly go onto a collector road that's got no feeder roads onto it, and then you go back onto a minor arterial again when you cross over Burwood Road.
Yeah, it's because the volumes between Marston Road and Burwood Road on Mariha Road, because it's mostly rural at the moment, is quite low, whereas from Burwood Road past Burwood Hospital, because of the hospital traffic, is a lot higher.
The fact we're putting in traffic lights at Marston's Road, and prior to that you could have traffic banked up from Marston's Road pretty much back up to the hospital.
The traffic lights on Marston Road is partly because of the amount of traffic on Marston Road.
No, it's Mariha Road. It's allowing traffic to get off Mariha Road.
Yeah.
That's because of the significance of the traffic movements down Marston Road.
Yes,
yeah.
but also the significance of
Marston
the traffic.
Road doesn't have an S on the end of it, by the way.
Marihau Road, Burwood Road, in both directions, onto Marihau Road and out onto Marston's Road.
I think
It just doesn't make sense that
But
section
you're
of
saying
road
that
could
it's
be a
just
collector.
it's done purely on account of traffic, is that right?
No, that's one of the criteria, but there's a number of other criteria. I'll take you through this in more detail if you want. I mean, if you look at the map, page 52, the Marihau Road past Burwood Hospital forms part of a sort of a link from sort of Preston's Road through to Parklands, so Preston's Road and then part of Burwood Road up to Burwood Hospital is also minor arterial, and so it's sort of forming part of that key connection, and it obviously serves Burwood Hospital, which is obviously one of our key hospitals. So it's partly because of the traffic counts, but it's also partly because of the key roads that road serves, and that road serves Burwood Hospital, and there's a lot of obviously traffic movements to and from Burwood Hospital. And Burwood Hospital is going to probably expand, or is being redeveloped at the moment, so we are anticipating future growth there. So that's probably why we are looking at future volume increases on that part of Burwood of Marihau Road.
Well, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but do road classifications then flow on to speed limits and other treatments of roads as well?
They can do. That we can sometimes have, especially the major arterial. A lot of our major arterials have 60k speed limit. There's usually not a difference in speed limit between a collector and a minor arterial. It depends whether it's in a rural area or an urban area. But there's a lot of other factors around speed limits as well. So it's just because a road is owned, a minor arterial doesn't automatically mean it's going to have a higher speed limit.
Can we fix the speed limit on Preston's Road while we're here? Hey? Yeah, I wondered whether you were heading in that direction. But the designation of the road is not for any purpose other than the connections of the routes. You know, like it's to get a sense of the network, is it?
That's right. It's a sense of the network, and the purpose of having it in the district plan is really about what access will we allow onto that road. So what driveways will we allow? And if it's a minor arterial, then there's more. You need to ensure that the driveway is designed so that people don't reverse onto the road, for example.
Yeah.
And so that's why roads with higher traffic volumes, there's more concern obviously about vehicles backing onto those roads than on a local street. So it's more about, in the district plan, about how the land use is integrated with the road, so how the access from the land use like Burwood Hospital is designed so that we don't cause issues on the road, and as opposed to what the speed limit is. That's more of an operational matter.
But that's exactly my point for the rest of Marihau Road. You're talking about, you've given a minor arterial classification to the portion between Burwood Road and Frost Road, and presumably you want to be looking at sort of access issues and things like that. And then you have this other section of Marihau Road, which ostensibly is through farmland, 80k speed limit on it, majority of it, and I would have thought that access to it and people coming on and off it would be more of an issue. It should be a minor arterial. I can't understand the classification of that, the whole of that section. It just doesn't make any sense at all.
We've also got additional additional access requirements for rural roads, for roads like that. So that's why a lot of these access requirements are really around urban roads. Yes, in rural roads where there's a higher speed limit, yes, we've got even more requirements to ensure that there isn't issues because of the speed of the vehicles. So it's not so critical for that part of Marihau Road because it's captured because it's a rural road, and there's unlikely to be much access off it anyway because of the restrictions around rural development. Which
well, apart from the fact that the other end of the Preston subdivision, given another 18 months or so, will come back out onto that road anyway. So, yeah.
We already have some issues with Burwood Hospital at the moment. And that will continue to expand, so I guess
Yeah,
does this provide for that?
So look, we can have a closer look at Mariehow Road if that's a key sticking point.
But I'm getting worried about the time here, so
Wondering
Pauline?
how often do we revisit the classifications? I mean, we've got this changing face of the city. And look at Madras Street, I'm sure that was once a major arterial. Now it's down as a collector. It's rapidly becoming a minor arterial as we speak. And how often are they revisited?
Well, as you know, the previous district plan was put in place more than 20 years ago. No, but plan changes can occur at any time. However, generally 2 years past the date which this proposed plan would become operative. Any time after that, or we can even do a variation during the plan change, but that's not required at this stage. So if roads do change dramatically in the next few years, we can do a plan change to change what type of classification it gets if that's necessary, a council-led plan change.